Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Sustainability Now, All In for Climate Smart 2025 webinar series. My name is Olivia Burns. I'm an environmental specialist with Clark County's Office of Sustainability. We are excited to have you join us today to learn more about the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition. Presenting today is Robert Berge, our Climate and Sustainability Program Manager with Clark County's Department of Environment and Sustainability. Before I pass it over to Robert to share all about the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition, I'll go over a few tips to enhance your presentation experience. Firstly, you can translate the entire meeting page and/or the live audio into another language by clicking the Translate button and selecting your preferred language from the drop-down menu. Closed captions are also available for this presentation. Simply click the CC button at the bottom right corner of the screen to turn them on. If you'd like to hear audio by phone, you can call in using the 855 number located above the presentation page. To interact with us during the session, feel free to use the chat box next to the live stream to submit any comments or questions. If a question comes up in mind during the presentation, please drop it in the chat and we will address them at the end. This presentation is being recorded and will be on the Clark County Department of Environment and Sustainability YouTube channel after the session. Lastly, if you experience any issues viewing or hearing the presentation, please refresh your browser page. Now I'll pass it over to Robert to get us started. Thank you.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm really excited to share with you information about the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition. So a brief introduction about me. My name is Robert Berge. I serve as the Climate and Sustainability Program Manager at the Clark County's Department of Environment and Sustainability. So it is my pleasure to begin and talk about our Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition. So I like to include agendas just so we know where we're going. I'm going to briefly talk about All in Clark County, which is the program and part of our work that helps guide a lot of the work that we do here in Southern Nevada for All in Clark County and the Department of Environment and Sustainability. I'll then talk about what is clean cities in general from the federal level. Then I'll get more specific talking about Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition, what it is, what we do. I'll talk about our goals, our programming and events, and I'll sum it all up with a conclusion. So what is All in Clark County? All in Clark County is a county-wide planning effort around addressing climate change impacts in our community and developing solutions in conjunction with local businesses and industry, municipal governments, community organizations, and our residents. So All in Clark County is all about understanding what the different people, the different groups want to see in Southern Nevada and what they need. And then we try to develop programming to help support and foster Southern Nevada. So we focus on clean and reliable energy, connected and equitable mobility, diverse and circular economy, so waste and recycling, promoting resilient and healthy communities, working to ensure our buildings are smart and are efficient, and sustainable water systems. So what is Clean Cities? So Clean Cities, you may have heard of Clean Cities in the past. It's been around for quite a while. It's a national network organized by the U.S. Department of Energy, otherwise known as DOE, and was established in 1993, so over 30 years ago. And the purpose is simple. Is to reduce petroleum fuel use, encourage alternative fuels that have less emissions and less impact on public health, and also help with idling reduction, which is the idea of helping people not idle their engines as much if it can provide emissions benefits to the regions. So I'll get into that a little bit more later. So to give a little bit more in depth as to what does that mean? What does it mean by not petroleum fuels or lowering our dependence on them? Well, there are quite a lot of different fuels and fuel technologies that can be used. So this image at top shows biodiesel, electricity, such as EV charging, ethanol, hydrogen, there's compressed natural gas, propane, renewable diesel. It's not just electric vehicles. A lot of people will say, oh, you're doing less gasoline. Does that mean you're just pushing EVs or pushing electric vehicles? Well, the Southern Nevada Clean Cities and clean cities in general want to promote all alternative fuels that work best for everyone's individual or business capacity. And it's not even just fuels. This below image shows that it can be developing battery technology, electrification, which means helping things run on electric if the electric grid is cleaner and renewable, having materials technology, thinking about the development of the technologies that go into vehicles, and even mobility systems, which thinks about how we travel across regions and are interconnected in our planning efforts for mobility. Um, and while we might not have marine or rail here in Southern Nevada to the extent that other areas have, there's also work for Clean Cities coalitions in those industries as well, and really working to look at anything that uses fuel and how that fuel can be clean, have less emissions, less health hazards. To give a little bit more in-depth look at what Clean Cities is, I want to talk about how it operates. So Clean Cities and Communities, run by the DOE, provides information and tools to coalitions. So we don't just form and run free. We form and we work together with DOE and its partners to get the information and tools necessary to serve our region. And that includes technical assistance shown on the right. It's really important that, not everyone is an expert in all things electric vehicles and sustainability and alternative fuels. Luckily, DOE has partners with organizations such as the National Renewable Energy Laboratory that provides technical assistance. So if we're planning programming and we have a question, DOE is there to support us. It also provides financial assistance to different coalitions. So I'll go into how we're a coalition on one of the next slides, but there's so many different coalitions across the country, and DOE works hard to provide financial assistance so that those coalitions can operate and make a difference in their region. And finally, training, outreach, and partnerships. It isn't just, hey, DOE is providing us a lot of information. It's DOE works with us to train us, provide outreach to the different coalitions. And we work really hand in hand with other coalitions to increase our ability to know how to help people. Why reinvent the wheel necessarily when there's all these other coalitions that have done work in the past and can help be advisors, and we can be advisors to them. So it becomes a network of coalitions that support each other's regions and regional goals. To give it even more context, there is a Clean Cities and Communities HQ team. There are regional managers over different areas of the United States that help coalesce or convene together different coalitions. DOE partners with national laboratories to provide technical assistance. And there's also contractors that help support. So it is really a large integrated effort that's very thought out. Um, and one of the cool quotes I want to share with you from this image is Clean Cities and Community Coalitions act locally in urban, suburban, and rural communities to foster the nation's economic, environmental, and energy security and move our transportation systems into the clean energy future. So again, if you get anything out of this webinar, it would be that Clean Cities in and of itself is working to promote a healthier environment by pursuing the use of alternative fuel technologies and fostering that region across regions and across the United States. So now I want to talk about the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition, the topic of today's webinar. So what is the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition, otherwise known as SNCC? So We established ourselves in 2022, so 3 years ago, really, and we were the first coalition to go through an apprenticeship process with the Department of Energy. So what that means is we formed a coalition and then we worked hand in hand with the Department of Energy to say, now that you've formed up, how can you be really impactful in your region? How can DOE lead your coalition to build itself up to last over years and years and have the support and programming put in place to support your community? So we went through that process in 2024, and in November of that year, we received our full designation. So we were designated with the Department of Energy. And now we serve as a community space for sustainable transportation. And in future slides, I'll really dig into what we do. And we have over 160 members of the Clean Cities Coalition, ranging from fleet managers to sustainability-minded individuals, to really anyone that wants to be involved and join. There's no membership fee. You can get email updates from us on our programming and events, and it's a helpful way to stay informed. So what are the goals of the Southern Nevada Clean City Coalition? So I've kind of put these images here because there are really high overarching goals that are pretty simplistic when you really think about them. The first is education and outreach. We really want to be informing people of alternative fuels, possibilities for their fleets, for their personal lives, and providing the education. It's not so much about forcing people to adopt a certain technology. It's more about giving people the options to understand the pros and cons of making any type of decision regarding vehicle technology. So we want to inform people so that they're aware of what they can do in their own personal lives to be more fuel efficient or to make that purchase of their next vehicle. Support and assistance. We want to work together with the community to help provide support in anything related to regional alternative fuels. So if people have questions or want to learn more about a specific topic, we are really happy to go into detail and assist with that. We also have dedicated programming. So in another slide, I'll talk about different programs that we put on. So we're not just doing education and outreach and assisting people, but we're also putting together programs that help the region. And they're really impactful and quite fun. And then finally, we always have a goal to increase reach and participation. We want to make sure that we're reaching all members of the community that have an interest in this, and that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that all communities within Southern Nevada have the opportunity to receive this information. So let's talk about some programming and events. I'm going to start with 2024. So during 2024, we had 8 advisory committee meetings, 3 working group meetings, 4 general membership meetings, 9 webinars, and 12 events and partnerships, reaching almost 2,000 people in 2024 alone. So I was really proud and happy with the work our team did to really reach out to the community and offer things such as ride-in drives, webinars, educational events at libraries, and also meeting internally with dedicated advisory members to help ensure that we're not just creating this program in a bubble, but we're working with regional leaders in transportation to maximize the impact. I also like to talk about some upcoming events for 2025. This Saturday, we're having a movie night at the drive-in to celebrate our designation from last year. So that will be at the Las Vegas Drive-In in North Las Vegas, and we'll be having a screening of Migration. So if you want to learn a little bit more about clean cities, feel free to attend. There's no RSVP needed, but there are limited spots available. We also have the following weekend a ride and drive event at the Silverado Ranch Community Center. So if you're interested in test driving an electric vehicle or wanting to learn more about electric vehicles, that's a great opportunity and a no pressure, no sales environment to learn more. And then finally, on Saturday, October 4th, we're having a glow ride downtown to celebrate National Drive Electric Month and teach people more about alternative transportation. You might not think of it naturally, but one version of clean transportation is biking. So, as someone who has never learned to ride a bike in my life, I find it really fascinating that we're trying to encourage people of all means and all capacities to be sustainable in their lives. So, really cool to see that, hey, sometimes biking can be a sustainable method of transportation. And as a bonus, I want to talk about that industry education and programming that we do. So I've kind of included three images here. Recently in August, we did a gas station education event regarding EV charging infrastructure. So we got together different gas station owners and operators and talked about what would it take to install electric vehicle charging stations at your gas station from a permitting perspective, from a utility perspective, and what are some trends in EV adoption in Southern Nevada? We also host three fleet manager roundtables each year. Fleets are obviously a big part of transportation. So thinking of, any organization that has a lot of vehicles, that's a fleet. And so we want to bring fleet managers together 3 times a year to educate them on industry trends or anything that's being updated on a state or federal level, and also get fleet managers talking to each other to share best insights and practices. And finally, another program that we've been working on is idling reduction. So this is the idea that when you're sitting in your car, you're parked or not moving, you're idling your car. And that releases emissions into the environment. So we're not telling people stop sitting in your car and parking and emitting into the environment, but we're saying, hey, let's look at ways to reduce that impact while also preserving the quality of life that you want. So thinking of things like instead of using a drive-through, maybe order ahead on a mobile app, park, get your item, and then leave, because that would be less emissions and more fuel efficiency for your vehicle. So we really do want to create programming that helps educate people in fun and dynamic ways. So in conclusion, and I wanted to make sure I left plenty of time for questions and comments. Really simple to sum up, what does the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition do? Outreach and education regarding alternative fuels and alternative fuel technology, support and assistance. If people have questions, want to learn more, or want to get detailed about anything related to alternative fuels, because we have that network with DOE and other clean cities coalitions, we're able to provide support and assistance. And then dedicated programming. That's the idea that we're developing programs such as gas station outreach, idling program outreach. We're even working on a potential clean construction program. Those are all ways that we want to help our community. And then finally, all of this ties to petroleum fuel use reduction. And again, it's not saying that we're favoring one technology over another. It's saying we want to take the right steps necessary to educate people on their options so that they are able to successfully and confidently transition as they're able to more clean fuels with less emission impacts to our environment. And with that, that is the conclusion of my presentation. Again, my name is Robert Berge. I'm the Climate and Sustainability Program Manager for Clark County's Department of Environment and Sustainability. And it's a pleasure to work alongside you all in this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Robert, for your informative presentation on the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition and sustainable transportation. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your insights and expertise with us. Now I'll pull up some audience questions. First question, are there any recent or upcoming initiatives the coalition is excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. What a great question. So there are a couple initiatives that we've been working on. One of which was recently completed was our gas station EV charging symposium, in which we talked to gas station owners about how to get electric vehicle charging there. But we're also doing a lot of programming that we're really excited about for the community for National Drive Electric Month. And I kind of love that Olivia has put this up on the screen because it is really things that we're excited about. Our movie night at the drive-in this weekend, our ride and drive the following weekend, the Glow Ride. We've also got EV 101 presentations throughout the year. I think in general, I'm just really excited to have a strong team here leading the coalition. So I love supporting their ideas and initiatives. And we're working really hard um, using time. We take our time to plan these efforts and these initiatives because we want to do them right. So things like idling reduction and clean construction, we don't just want to release them out into the wild without really proper planning, talking to people and getting kind of a good stakeholder engagement. So suffice to say, we're working really hard and really excited and can't wait to deliver these programming opportunities to the community.
Thank you. Next question. How can local businesses or community members get involved with the coalition?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to the All In Clark County website, which I know Olivia is going to show and talk about, you can go to the events page and basically sign up for our future events. And also, if you're really interested in getting on our mailing list, you're welcome to email me and I can get you a QR code to help you sign up for the mailing list so that you can get our quarterly newsletter.
Great, thank you, Robert. Just a few more questions. Does the coalition work with local or state governments to influence transportation policies?
Yeah, great question. So transportation policy is pretty interesting because it requires a lot of intergovernmental work and planning. And we sit in Clark County's Department of Environment and Sustainability. So within our own specific capacity, there's not a lot of room to really impact at a deep level like state and local policies. Though we are very informed of that, and kind of the work that we do within our department is to be aware of different things that are happening in the community and legislatively and being able to provide support. So I would say well, really support or comment on different things. So I would say while the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Coalition is really aware, I think a lot of the advocacy and policy change kind of comes at a department level for Clark County's Department of Environment and Sustainability. We want to be aware of anything that can impact mobility and sustainable transportation in our region. So while the Clean Cities Coalition might not directly be impacting that, the Department of Environment and Sustainability does watch. And I would also like to add that we have some really wonderful partners that serve on our advisory committee, people from the RTC as well as the Nevada Department of Transportation regularly meet with us to provide us updates and information. So we're really happy to work with them as well.
And then next question is, what are the coalition's goals for the next 5 years in terms of emissions reductions or vehicle conversions?
Yeah, what a great question. So we are currently working on our annual plan for 2026 and then our 5-year strategic goals. So we haven't quite gotten there yet, but what I can tell you is earlier this year, we had compiled EV registration data for Clark County and the different municipalities, different electric vehicle charging station infrastructure knowledge of locations. And we're constantly working to better understand that. And through that understanding, we can better create these 5-year strategic goals. I think it's pretty difficult to measure emission reduction like verbatim or like very technically because that requires a lot of effort and a lot of math and planning. So we won't want to necessarily look at exact emissions year over year, but what we can look at are things like adoption of alternative vehicles such as plug-ins or hybrid vehicles. So um, more to come, but we're definitely working on a 5-year strategic plan.
Thank you, Robert. And just one last question. What is the process for a private business to get technical assistance for deploying alternative fuel vehicles and fueling infrastructure?
Yeah, so they can send us an email. I have my email right here. So if and I have colleagues as well that help with this that I can also include in those emails. But essentially, we would take your inquiry and see how we can help, providing new technical assistance in terms of finding types of documentation you might need, providing information on incentives such as NEVI funds, which is Federal Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Funds. We're just generally, if you send us an email, we'll do our best to help you. I know that's kind of a blanket, you know, answer, but it really is what we do. We want to help businesses, and we don't want to just say like, hey, we'll help this business, but not this business. We want to help everyone. So as long as we have the capacity in our wheelhouse to respond, we will get a response out.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you to everyone.
That is all for today's questions. So a special thanks again to Robert, and thank you for everybody tuning in with us today. Before we go, I wanted to share a few upcoming events we have at all in Clark County. I know we touched up upon a few during the presentation. We are celebrating National Drive Electric Month, September 12th through October 12th. So we have a lot of fun and exciting events, all free for our community to attend. So coming up this Saturday, we have our Clean City Celebration event. And so this was a celebration for the coalition for the designation by the DOE. So entries on us, there's no cost to attend. We have 150 vehicle spots, so please bring your family and your friends along. It's on Saturday, September 20th at the West Wind Drive-In in North Las Vegas. Gates open at 4:30. It is first come, first serve, so get there early to claim your spot. And no RSVP is needed for this event. And then we have next Tuesday, September 23rd, an hour-long presentation about EV 101. Like Robert mentioned, we've done these EV 101 presentations all year long, and this one goes in more deeper dive into it. And we'll also have a Q&A portion at the end of that presentation as well. And that one is Tuesday, September 23rd from 6 to 7. And if you're on the All In events page watching this live stream, you could just scroll down and register for any of these upcoming events. And then we have our annual Ride and Drive event happening at the Silverado Ranch Community Center on September 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. Here we'll have EV test drives, EVs on display, local resources and booths, and it's totally free. As we mentioned, no sales, no pressure. You just come and learn and drive some different EVs and talk to people who drive them every day and ask questions. And then our other event we have for National Drive Electric Month is our Glow Ride event with RTC for their bike share program. So we'll have a community bike ride. You could bring scooters, roller skates, skateboards. We'll also have 30 bikes to borrow. And we'll have glow sticks and cupcakes, and it'll be a lot of fun for our community. And RTC will take us on a bike ride in downtown Las Vegas. More information on all these events are on our website. And then we also have our webinar series as well, happening throughout the year once a month. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Clark County DES to stay updated on latest programs, events, and all of our resources available to our community. This concludes today's webinar. So thank you for being with us today and have a great rest of your day.